All right, my friends, gather round. Let's talk about something incredibly vital to our daily experience. Something we all chase, yearn for, and sometimes feel is just out of reach. Happiness. For so long, we've thought of happiness as this elusive, almost magical state, something that happens to us, or something that we find outside of ourselves through achievements, possessions, or perfect circumstances. But what if I told you that true, sustainable happiness isn't just a feeling, a vague aspiration, or a stroke of luck? What if I told you that it's deeply rooted in the very structure of your brain, a result of specific, tangible brain chemicals that are constantly at play? Today, we're diving into a fascinating book that will completely shift your perspective on what makes you feel good and, perhaps more importantly, what makes you feel bad. It's called The Happy Brain by Loretta Graziano Breuning, and it offers a groundbreaking, yet incredibly practical approach to understanding and actually managing your own happiness. This isn't touchy-feely psychology. It's grounded in neuroscience, in the hardwired systems of your brain that have evolved over millions of years to help you survive and thrive. But we also face stress, disappointment, anxiety, and periods where happiness seems fleeting. We chase external rewards, a promotion, a new car, a perfect vacation, hoping they'll deliver lasting joy, only to find that the high is temporary, and then we're back to the drawing board, searching for the next fix. Does that sound familiar? Breuning's core premise is revolutionary because it demystifies happiness. She explains that our brain, at its most fundamental level, is an organ designed to help us survive and pass on our genes. To do this, it has evolved a powerful reward system, a sophisticated internal mechanism that releases specific neurochemicals to alert us to things that are good for our survival, like finding food, seeking safety, or connecting with our tribe, and to motivate us to repeat those behaviors. When we experience these chemical releases, we interpret it as feeling good, in other words, happiness. The problem, however, is that our modern world often triggers these ancient chemical systems in ways that don't always serve our long-term well-being. We can get stuck in loops of craving, addiction, or constant comparison, chasing fleeting chemical rushes that leave us feeling drained or disappointed. We might find ourselves perpetually seeking external validation or feeling a constant sense of unease, all because our brains are simply doing what they've been wired to do, but in contexts that aren't always healthy or sustainable. What the Happy Brain offers is an owner's manual for your own neurochemistry. It empowers you to understand why you feel what you feel, not just intellectually but at a biological level. It introduces us to the four main happy chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin, each with its own unique purpose, triggers, and impact on our emotions. By understanding these chemicals, we can begin to consciously identify the patterns that trigger them, break free from negative loops, and intentionally cultivate new habits that stimulate these chemicals in healthier, more sustainable ways. This isn't about becoming a robot, devoid of emotion. It's about gaining awareness and agency over your own internal reward system. It's about realizing that you don't have to be a victim of your impulses or your past experiences. You have the power to retrain your brain, to build new neural pathways, and to create a more consistent flow of natural happiness. It's about moving beyond simply hoping for happiness, and instead learning how to consciously cultivate it from within. So get ready to look at your feelings in a whole new light. We're going to pull back the curtain on your brain's natural reward system and discover how you can become the architect of your own happiness, building a more fulfilling, balanced, and joyful life by truly understanding your happy brain. This journey isn't just about feeling good. It's about empowerment, about becoming more conscious of your own internal landscape, and ultimately, about living a life that truly aligns with your deepest well-being. Let's unlock your inner happiness chemicals. Chapter 1. Meet your happy chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. All right, my friends, let's get acquainted with the stars of our show, the very essence of what makes the happy brain so illuminating. The 4 primary happy chemicals. Loretta Graziano-Bräuning introduces us to this powerful quartet, each playing a distinct, vital role in our survival, our well-being, and our feelings of happiness. Understanding these isn't just academic. It's the bedrock of learning to manage your emotional state. These aren't just abstract concepts. They are tangible neurochemicals that are constantly being released and reabsorbed in your brain, shaping every thought and feeling you experience. Imagine your brain as a finely tuned biological machine, evolved over millions of years. Its primary directive is simple: survive and thrive, and pass on your genes. To do this, it needs to encourage behaviors that are beneficial and discourage those that are harmful. It does this through a sophisticated system of rewards and deterrence, primarily fueled by these 4 chemicals. When your brain releases one of these chemicals, it gives you a jolt of good feeling, prompting you to repeat the behavior that triggered it. This is your natural reward system at work. Let's meet our 4 key players. First up, we have dopamine. Think of dopamine as the thrill of the chase chemical. It's not about the reward itself, but the anticipation of it. Dopamine drives our motivation, our seeking behavior, and our pursuit of goals. When you set a goal, big or small, your brain releases dopamine, giving you that burst of excited energy that propels you forward. It's what makes you keep working towards a promotion, planning a vacation, or even just looking forward to your next meal. Dopamine is about getting your needs met: food, water, shelter, reproduction. When you take a step towards meeting a need, boom, dopamine gives you a surge. It says, keep going, you're on the right track. But here's the catch: the dopamine surge is temporary. Once the reward is achieved, dopamine levels drop, and your brain starts looking for the next reward, leading to that feeling of, what now? Or what's next, if you're not careful. This is why chasing external achievements can feel like a perpetual treadmill if we don't understand the underlying chemistry. Next, we have oxytocin. This is the bonding chemical, the one that fosters feelings of trust, connection, and social safety. Oxytocin is released through social interaction, physical touch, eye contact, and acts of empathy and kindness. It's what makes you feel safe and comfortable with your loved ones, what strengthens the bonds of friendship, and what allows you to feel part of a community or tribe. Historically, belonging to a group was crucial for survival, so our brains developed a powerful reward for social connection. When you hug someone, share a laugh with a friend, or feel truly understood by another person, oxytocin floods your system, creating that warm, fuzzy feeling of belonging. The challenge with oxytocin is that it involves vulnerability and risk. Connecting with others means opening yourself up to potential hurt or betrayal, so our brains are naturally cautious. Building strong, trusting relationships is key to consistent oxytocin flow, but it requires courage and consistency. Third, we have serotonin. This is the status chemical, the one that contributes to feelings of pride, respect, and confidence. Serotonin is released when you feel acknowledged, valued, or respected by your peers or group. Historically, having a place in the social hierarchy was vital for survival, as it ensured access to resources and protection. So when you achieve recognition for your work, feel appreciated by your family, or receive a compliment, your serotonin levels get a boost. It's that feeling of, I matter, I'm important, or I belong here. The downside, however, is that constantly chasing external validation or comparing yourself to others can lead to a perpetual struggle. If your sense of self-worth is solely dependent on external approval, you'll be on a roller coaster of highs and lows. Healthy serotonin comes from genuine self-respect and contributing meaningfully to your group, not just from outcompeting others. Finally, there's endorphin. Think of endorphin as your body's natural pain reliever and euphoric chemical. It's released in response to physical discomfort, pain, or strenuous activity. This is why you get a runner's high, or feel a sense of exhilaration after a tough workout. Historically, endorphins helped our ancestors push through pain during a hunt or escape a predator. They provide a temporary mask for physical discomfort, allowing you to endure. Laughter also triggers endorphin release, providing a natural stress reducer. The catch with endorphins is that they are designed to be temporary. They quickly dissipate once the discomfort subsides, and if you're constantly chasing that high through extreme physical activity or even risky behavior, you might be overlooking other, more sustainable sources of happiness. The genius of Bruning's approach is that she helps us understand that these chemicals are not good or bad, they are just mechanisms. The key to lasting happiness isn't to chase just one of them, or to constantly try to get a hit from external sources. Instead, it's about understanding their purpose, recognizing how your unique brain has learned to trigger them, often through old habits and ingrained pathways, and then consciously working to balance all four. It's about building new neural pathways that stimulate these chemicals in healthy, consistent ways, without the crash or the perpetual craving. This balance, this conscious management of your inner chemistry, is the true secret to the happy brain. Chapter 2: The Dopamine Dream. The thrill of the chase and the pain of expectation. All right, my friends, let's dig deeper into that first fascinating chemical we met, dopamine, the dopamine dream, the thrill of the chase and the pain of expectation. This particular neurochemical is perhaps the most widely discussed in popular culture, often associated with pleasure and reward. But as Loretta Graziano Breuning explains, dopamine is far more nuanced and often misunderstood. It's not primarily about the arrival at the destination. It's about the anticipation and the pursuit. It's the engine of our motivation, the spark that ignites our drive. But it can also be the source of our deepest frustrations and even addictive behaviors if we don't understand its true nature. Imagine our ancient ancestors. They needed to find food, seek shelter, discover new resources. Dopamine evolved to reward the seeking behavior. When you smelled food, spotted a distant water source, or recognized a path to safety, your brain released a jolt of dopamine. It felt good, prompting you to keep going, to pursue that potential reward. Each step, each bit of progress towards the goal, triggered another little hit of dopamine, creating a powerful incentive loop. Seek. Get a hit. Repeat. This is the thrill of the chase. It makes us feel alive, energized, and hopeful. In our modern lives, dopamine is at play constantly. When you set a goal, a new fitness target, a promotion at work, saving for a vacation, even just planning your weekend, your brain is already releasing dopamine in anticipation. That excitement you feel when you start a new project, the buzz from checking items off a to-do list, the urge to keep scrolling social media for the next interesting post, or the craving for that next bite of a delicious meal. That's all dopamine. It's what makes us feel good, about progress, about learning, about discovering something new. But here's the critical piece, the pain of expectation part. Dopamine is temporary. It's designed to surge and then drop once the reward is received. Once you hit that goal, get that promotion, buy that new car, or finish that meal, the dopamine level decreases. And your brain, ever efficient, immediately starts looking for the next dopamine hit. This is why we often feel a sense of anticlimax after achieving a major goal. Is this all there is? We might ask ourselves, what's next? If we don't understand this natural drop, we can interpret it as a failure, or that the reward wasn't good enough, leading to constant craving and dissatisfaction. This temporary nature of dopamine can also lead to problematic habits. If our brains learn to associate a certain behavior with a quick hit of dopamine, whether it's excessive social media use, online shopping, gambling, or even unhealthy food consumption, we can develop compulsive patterns. We chase that immediate, fleeting feeling of reward, even if it doesn't serve our long-term well-being. This is how the thrill of the chase can spiral into addiction, where the pursuit becomes more important than the actual reward, and the constant craving creates a cycle of discomfort. The key isn't to stop pursuing goals. That's what makes life exciting and meaningful. The key is to break down big goals into smaller steps. This creates a continuous stream of mini dopamine hits, sustaining motivation rather than waiting for one big, often anticlimactic reward. Celebrate each small win. Focus on the process, not just the outcome. Find joy and satisfaction in the journey itself, in the learning, the effort, and the growth. This shifts your brain's reward system to appreciate consistent action. Cultivate new dopamine pathways. Instead of just chasing external rewards, intentionally build habits that give you dopamine hits from internal sources. Learning a new skill, mastering a craft, or solving a complex problem that offers intellectual stimulation. Manage expectations. Understand that the intense thrill of the chase is temporary. When the reward is achieved, accept the natural drop and immediately pivot to identify your next meaningful goal or mini-goal. Don't let the drop lead to despair. By consciously recognizing how dopamine works, you can become the master of your own motivation. You can design your life to create a sustainable flow of dopamine, avoiding the pitfalls of constant craving and dissatisfaction. You can learn to appreciate the process, find joy in continuous progress, and build a truly fulfilling life that isn't just about fleeting highs, but about consistent, purposeful engagement with the world. This understanding transforms your relationship with your goals and your drive, turning the dopamine dream into a continuous journey of satisfying progress. Chapter 3: Oxytocin Bonds. The Power of Trust and Connection. All right, my friends, let's shift our focus from the thrill of the chase to something fundamentally different, yet equally vital to our happiness. Oxytocin bonds, the power of trust and connection. If dopamine is about individual pursuit and reward, oxytocin is all about social safety, belonging, and the profound comfort that comes from feeling connected to others. Loretta Graziano-Bräuning explains that this neurochemical is the glue of our social world, the reason we seek out companionship, form families, and build communities. Imagine our ancient ancestors again. Surviving alone was incredibly difficult, almost impossible. Being part of a tribe, a group, offered protection, shared resources, and increased chances of survival. Oxytocin evolved to reward this social bonding behavior. When you connected with a trusted member of your tribe, when you felt safe and accepted, your brain released oxytocin, creating a warm, comforting feeling of belonging and security. This chemical reinforces trust and empathy, making us want to maintain those crucial social ties. In our modern lives, oxytocin is released in countless ways, often subtly. It's that feeling of ease and comfort you get from a hug with a loved one. It's the sense of security when you're sharing a deep conversation with a trusted friend. It's the feeling of belonging when you're part of a supportive team at work or a close-knit community group. Physical touch, eye contact, acts of kindness, empathy, shared laughter, and even simply being in the presence of people you trust, all of these can trigger an oxytocin release. It helps us form attachments, build loyalty, and overcome the natural human tendency towards skepticism and isolation. However, the pursuit of oxytocin, while fundamentally positive, also comes with its challenges and risks. The bond that oxytocin creates implies vulnerability. To truly connect with someone, you have to let down your guard, which means opening yourself up to the possibility of betrayal, disappointment, or hurt. Our brains, being wired for self-preservation, naturally carry a degree of caution. If you've experienced betrayal or significant social rejection in the past, your brain might have learned to suppress oxytocin release as a protective mechanism, making it harder to form new bonds or trust deeply. This can lead to feelings of loneliness, isolation, and a perpetual sense of guardedness. The key to cultivating healthy oxytocin bonds is to consciously engage in behaviors that promote trust and connection, while also managing the inherent risks. Prioritize quality over quantity. Focus on deepening existing relationships rather than just accumulating acquaintances. Invest time and genuine presence in your closest connections. Practice vulnerability wisely. Sharing your authentic self, your hopes, fears, and struggles is crucial for building trust. Start with small acts of vulnerability with people you already trust, and gradually build from there. Engage in physical touch appropriately. Hugs, handshakes, holding hands. Appropriate physical contact with loved ones or trusted colleagues can be a powerful oxytocin booster. Acts of kindness and reciprocity. Giving and receiving support, empathy, and kindness strengthens social bonds. Volunteer, help a friend, or simply offer a listening ear. Build shared experiences. Engaging in activities together, whether it's a hobby, a project, or simply spending quality time, creates shared memories and strengthens collective bonds. Manage expectations and forgive. Understand that perfection doesn't exist in relationships. People will disappoint you, and you will disappoint others. Learning to forgive, to set healthy boundaries, and to move past hurts is vital for maintaining long-term connections and allowing oxytocin to flow. Seek out safe communities. Actively find and engage with groups where you feel accepted, valued, and safe to be yourself. This could be a book club, a spiritual community, a sports team, or a support group. By consciously working to foster trust and connection, you can create a consistent and fulfilling flow of oxytocin in your life. This isn't about ignoring risks. It's about understanding them and choosing to build bridges rather than walls. It's about recognizing that our profound human need for belonging is wired into our very brains, and by actively cultivating healthy social bonds, you tap into a wellspring of comfort, security, and sustained happiness. This deepens your human experience, transforming your relationship with others and with yourself, making you feel truly connected to the world around you. Chapter 4: Serotonin Status. Finding your place in the world. All right, my friends, let's move to the third crucial happy chemical in our brain's arsenal, serotonin. Serotonin status. Finding your place in the world. If dopamine drives us to seek rewards, and oxytocin binds us through trust, serotonin is all about our sense of social standing, respect, and self-worth. Loretta Graziano-Bräuning explains that this chemical rewards us for feeling significant, for finding our rightful place within the social hierarchy, and for feeling respected by our peers. Think back to our mammalian ancestors. In a group, social hierarchy was vital for survival. Those who had a recognized place, who were seen as capable or valuable, often had better access to resources, protection, and mates. Serotonin evolved to reward us when we felt elevated, acknowledged, or secure in our position within the group. It's that feeling of quiet pride, confidence, and self-respect that comes from doing good work, being appreciated, or simply knowing that you matter. In our modern lives, serotonin plays out in countless ways. When you get a promotion at work, receive public recognition, earn a degree, win an award, or even get a meaningful compliment, your serotonin levels get a boost. That feeling of accomplishment, of having earned respect, or of being seen as competent, that's serotonin at work. It also plays a role in regulating mood, sleep, and appetite, helping us feel stable and content when it's flowing consistently. It's what contributes to a healthy sense of self-esteem, making you feel secure in your own skin. However, the pursuit of serotonin can also be a double-edged sword, leading to what Bräuning calls the, quote, pitfalls. The danger lies in seeking external validation constantly, or engaging in social comparison. If your sense of worth is entirely dependent on what others think of you, or on outcompeting everyone around you, you'll be on a perpetual roller coaster of emotional highs and lows. The world always has someone richer, smarter, more attractive, or seemingly more successful. Constantly comparing yourself to others for your serotonin hit leads to chronic anxiety, jealousy, and a never-ending chase for something elusive. This is where the struggle for status can become exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. The key to cultivating healthy, sustainable serotonin levels is to focus on internal validation and genuine contribution, rather than external comparison. Celebrate your accomplishments, big and small. Don't wait for others to acknowledge you. Take time to genuinely appreciate your own efforts, progress, and achievements. Keep a win journal. This builds internal self-respect. Focus on mastery and contribution. Instead of competing with others, focus on mastering your craft, developing your skills, and contributing meaningfully to your work, family, or community. The satisfaction of doing something well and making a difference is a powerful intrinsic serotonin booster. Practice self-acceptance. Recognize that your worth is not tied to external approval or comparison. Embrace your unique strengths, weaknesses, and journey. Cultivate a deep sense of self-compassion. Surround yourself with supportive people. Be with people who genuinely appreciate you for who you are, not for what you do or what you have. Avoid environments or relationships that constantly undermine your self-worth or foster unhealthy competition. Set realistic expectations for recognition. Understand that not every effort will be publicly applauded. Find satisfaction in the work itself and in the knowledge that you are doing your best. Avoid social media comparison traps. Be mindful of how social media might trigger unhealthy comparison. Remember that what you see online is often a curated highlight reel, not real life. Identify your tribe and contribute. Find groups or communities where you feel genuinely valued and where you can contribute your unique talents. This provides a natural, healthy sense of belonging and respect. By consciously shifting your focus from external validation to internal self-respect and genuine contribution, you can create a consistent and robust flow of serotonin. This isn't about being arrogant. It's about developing an unshakable sense of self-worth that comes from within. It's about knowing your value, contributing your best, and finding your authentic place in the world, free from the exhausting treadmill of constant comparison. This empowers you to walk tall, live confidently, and experience a deeper, more stable sense of self-esteem and happiness. Chapter 5. Endorphins Euphoria, the natural pain reliever. All right, my friends, let's explore the final, fascinating chemical in our happy brain quartet, endorphin. Endorphins Euphoria, the natural pain reliever. If dopamine propels us towards goals, oxytocin binds us in trust, and serotonin helps us feel valued, endorphins are our body's ingenious way of coping with physical discomfort and stress, providing a temporary burst of euphoria and resilience. Loretta Graziano-Broining reveals that this chemical is designed to help us push through pain, endure hardship, and even find moments of joy amidst physical exertion. Think back to our ancient ancestors once more. Life was physically demanding. They had to hunt, gather, flee predators, and endure harsh conditions. Endorphins evolved to provide a crucial survival mechanism, a natural, internal painkiller. When the body experienced physical stress or discomfort, endorphins would flood the system, temporarily masking the pain and allowing our ancestors to continue their vital activities, running from danger, carrying heavy loads, or persevering through a long hunt. This feel-good effect, often called a runner's high, is our body's way of rewarding endurance. In our modern lives, endorphins are still triggered by physical exertion. When you engage in a vigorous workout, go for a long run, lift weights, or participate in a demanding sport, you experience that natural rush, that sense of well-being that can temporarily make the discomfort of the activity disappear. But it's not just intense exercise. Even something as simple as a good, hearty laugh can trigger an endorphin release, providing a natural stress reducer and a momentary feeling of lightness and joy. Crying, surprisingly, also involves endorphin release, offering a kind of emotional pain relief. However, just like the other happy chemicals, endorphins come with their own set of potential pitfalls and misconceptions. The key thing to remember about endorphins is that their effect is temporary. They are designed to mask pain and provide a burst of euphoria, but they quickly dissipate once the physical exertion or stress subsides. If you are constantly chasing that endorphin rush through extreme physical activity, risky sports, or even by inflicting minor physical discomfort on yourself, which can happen in some unhealthy patterns, you can fall into a cycle where you become dependent on that temporary high, constantly needing to push boundaries to feel good. This can lead to injury, burnout, or neglecting other, more sustainable sources of happiness. This knowledge helps us appreciate the purpose of endorphins, but also to manage our expectations and approach their release in a healthy, balanced way. Embrace regular, moderate exercise. You don't need to become an extreme athlete. Consistent physical activity, even moderate walks, gardening, dancing, or cycling, will trigger healthy endorphin release. Make movement a regular, enjoyable part of your day, not just an intense burst. Seek out laughter. Actively look for opportunities to laugh. Watch comedies, spend time with people who make you laugh, read humorous books. Laughter is a powerful, joyful, and healthy way to stimulate endorphins and reduce stress. Manage stress proactively. Understand that endorphins are released in response to stress, but relying on them as your primary coping mechanism can be taxing. Pair physical activity with other stress reduction techniques like meditation, silence SAVER, or deep breathing. Don't over-rely on the high. Appreciate the good feeling of endorphins, but understand, it's temporary. Don't let it become your sole source of happiness. Balance it with the sustained satisfaction from dopamine, achieving goals, oxytocin, connection, and serotonin, self-respect. Listen to your body. While endorphins mask pain, don't ignore true pain signals. Pushing through an injury to get an endorphin rush is counterproductive to long-term health. By integrating healthy, consistent physical activity and prioritizing laughter into your life, you can tap into the natural pain-relieving and mood-boosting power of endorphins. It's about recognizing this ancient survival mechanism and consciously utilizing it for your well-being, without falling into the trap of constantly chasing extreme highs. This balance allows you to build resilience, manage discomfort, and infuse your life with natural bursts of euphoria, complementing the other pathways to sustainable happiness. Chapter 6. Your Brain's Habits: How Pathways Are Formed and Reinforced. All right, my friends. We've explored the 4 individual happy chemicals and their unique roles. Now, let's pivot to a concept that ties them all together, a fundamental principle of how your brain operates and how your feelings of happiness or unhappiness become deeply ingrained: your brain's habits, how pathways are formed and reinforced. Loretta Graziano-Browning explains that your brain isn't just a random collection of neurons. It's a highly efficient, adaptive organ that constantly seeks to conserve energy. And it does this by building and reinforcing neural pathways, essentially creating highways for electrical signals to travel, making certain thoughts, feelings, and behaviors automatic. Imagine your brain as a dense forest. When you learn something new, or have a new experience, it's like a tiny deer creating a faint path through the underbrush. But if you keep walking that same path over and over, it becomes a well-worn trail, then a dirt road, and eventually a superhighway. In your brain, these highways are neural pathways. The more you repeat a thought, an emotion, or a behavior, the stronger and more efficient that pathway becomes. Signals rush down that highway with ease, making that thought, emotion, or behavior feel automatic, natural, and almost effortless. This is how habits are formed. both good and bad. When you consistently react to stress with anxiety, your brain builds an anxiety pathway. When you constantly seek external validation for your self-worth, your brain builds a serotonin pathway around that external trigger. When you find comfort in a specific unhealthy food, your brain builds a dopamine pathway around that reward. These pathways are incredibly efficient, which is why breaking old habits can feel so challenging. Your brain is simply defaulting to its superhighways, the most efficient routes it has already built. This can be both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it allows us to do many things efficiently, without conscious thought, like driving, tying our shoes, or performing routine tasks at work. But it's a curse if those pathways are leading to unhappiness, anxiety, or unfulfilled potential. If your happiness highways are consistently routed through external validation, quick fixes, or self-sabotaging behaviors, then you'll find yourself on a frustrating loop, constantly chasing a feeling that never quite sticks. The key insight here is that your brain is always building pathways based on your experiences. Every time a happy chemical is released, your brain notes what triggered it. If that trigger is something healthy and sustainable, like contributing to a project, having a meaningful conversation, or exercising, then your brain reinforces that healthy pathway. But if the trigger is something fleeting or unhealthy, like comparing yourself to others on social media, binge-watching TV, or seeking immediate gratification from unhealthy habits, then your brain reinforces those pathways, making it harder to break free. The good news, the truly empowering news, is that while these pathways are strong, they are not unchangeable. Your brain has neuroplasticity, the incredible ability to form new connections and rewire itself throughout your entire life. This means you can consciously choose to build new, healthier happiness highways. It takes effort and consistency, but it's entirely within your power. Understanding how pathways are formed gives us a powerful strategy for building a happier brain. Awareness. First, recognize your existing pathways. What triggers your happy chemicals now? What negative loops are you stuck in? Be honest with yourself about your current habits of thought and behavior. Intentional repetition. To build a new pathway, you must consciously repeat the desired thought, emotion, or behavior. It will feel awkward, even forced at first. It's like trying to forge a new path through a dense forest. But with consistent repetition, that faint path will become a trail, then a road. Positive association. Ensure that your new behaviors are associated with the release of happy chemicals. For example, if you want to build a reading habit, make it enjoyable. Find a comfortable spot, pair it with a warm drink, and focus on the joy of learning. This reinforces the pathway with positive reward, patience, and persistence. This isn't a quick fix. Building new neural pathways takes time and consistent effort. Don't get discouraged if you slip up. Just get back on the new path. Every repetition strengthens the new highway. CR. By understanding how your brain forms and reinforces habits, you move from being a passenger to becoming the conscious driver of your own neurochemistry. You gain the power to intentionally sculpt your brain, building robust, sustainable pathways that consistently lead you to feelings of joy, connection, confidence, and vitality. This knowledge transforms your approach to self-improvement, turning abstract goals into concrete, actionable steps for a truly happy brain. Chapter 7. Resetting your inner mammal, training your brain for new habits. All right, my friends. We now understand that our brains operate on established neural pathways, effectively creating highways for our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The challenge then becomes, how do we break free from old, unhelpful pathways and build new ones that lead to lasting happiness? This brings us to a crucial chapter in Bruning's book, Resetting Your Inner Mammal, Training Your Brain for New Habits. This isn't about overcoming a flaw. It's about understanding our evolutionary wiring and consciously guiding it towards our well-being. Bruning often refers to our inner mammal because our brains, at their core, are designed for survival, much like any other mammal. This mammalian brain learns what's good for survival, rewards, and what's bad, threats, and it builds those efficient pathways to repeat the good and avoid the bad. The problem arises when our modern world triggers these ancient mechanisms in ways that don't serve us. For instance, seeking status through social media likes, a serotonin hit, might be an efficient pathway for your inner mammal, but it can lead to anxiety and comparison. Or constantly craving sugar, a dopamine hit, might feel good in the moment, but it's detrimental to your health. So, how do we reset this inner mammal? How do we train our brains to build new, healthier habits that lead to a more consistent and sustainable flow of happy chemicals? It starts with conscious intervention and consistent repetition. It's about interrupting the old highways and deliberately forging new ones. Here are practical strategies for training your brain for new habits and resetting your inner mammal. Identify your happy chemical triggers and their shadows. First, become acutely aware of what specifically triggers dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins for you currently. Are they healthy and sustainable? Or are you getting hits from unhealthy behaviors or fleeting external sources? For example, if your serotonin boost comes solely from external praise, identify that. If your dopamine comes from compulsive shopping, acknowledge it. This awareness is the first step to change. Choose new, healthy triggers and pair them. Once you know your old triggers, intentionally select new, healthier ways to stimulate your happy chemicals. Then, deliberately pair the new behavior with the chemical release. For instance, if you want more serotonin from internal validation, choose to focus on completing a challenging task and then consciously celebrate your effort and accomplishment, giving yourself that internal praise. This helps your brain link the new behavior to the happy chemical. The 21-day rule is a myth, but consistency is key. You've probably heard it takes 21 days to form a habit. Bruning argues this is largely a myth. Forming new neural pathways takes much longer than that for complex habits, often 45 days, 60 days, or even more depending on the individual and the habit. The point is, don't get discouraged if it doesn't stick after 3 weeks. Persistence is paramount. Your brain needs consistent repetition to build those new superhighways. Neurons that fire together wire together. This is a core neurological principle. Every time you consciously choose the new desired behavior, you strengthen that new neural connection. It might feel effortful at first, like pushing a new path through dense jungle, but with each repetition, it becomes easier, faster, and more automatic. Small steps, big impact. Don't try to change everything at once. Start with one new habit or one new way of triggering a happy chemical. Focus on consistency. For example, if you want more oxytocin, commit to one genuine, empathetic conversation with a loved one each day. If you want healthy dopamine, commit to completing one small, achievable task daily and celebrating it. Manage withdrawal, the cortisol hit. When you try to break an old, ingrained habit, your brain will often release cortisol, a stress hormone. This is your inner mammal signaling that something is wrong because you're deviating from a familiar, efficient pathway. This feels uncomfortable, like a craving, anxiety, or irritability. Recognize this as a natural part of the rewiring process, not a sign of failure. Don't give in. Endure the discomfort, knowing it will pass as the new pathway strengthens. Patience and self-compassion. Training your brain is a journey, not a destination. There will be setbacks. You'll revert to old habits sometimes. Don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge the slip, learn from it, and gently guide yourself back to the new pathway. Self-compassion is vital for sustaining long-term change. By understanding how to reset your inner mammal, you gain incredible agency over your own happiness. You move from being a creature of ingrained habit to a conscious architect of your brain's architecture. You learn that discomfort is a sign of growth, and consistency is the key to creating a brain that naturally seeks and finds sustainable joy, connection, confidence, and vitality. This knowledge empowers you to sculpt a truly happy brain, day by day, habit by habit. Chapter 8. Navigating the Social Jungle: Chemical Influences on Relationships. All right, my friends, we've talked about our individual brain chemistry and how it shapes our personal happiness. But Loretta Graziano Breuning takes us a step further into a crucial and often complex aspect of life: navigating the social jungle: chemical influences on relationships. This chapter is incredibly insightful because it helps us understand that just as our own brains are seeking happy chemicals, so are the brains of everyone around us. Recognizing these underlying drives can transform how we perceive and interact with others, helping us build healthier, more empathetic, and more fulfilling relationships. Imagine again our ancient mammalian ancestors. Their survival depended heavily on social dynamics. Forming alliances, securing a place in the hierarchy, cooperating with the tribe, all these were essential. Our brains evolved to reward behaviors that support these social needs, and to trigger discomfort when those needs are threatened. The social jungle isn't always about literal predators. It's about the intricate dance of human interaction, where our chemical urges often play out in subtle, sometimes frustrating ways. Consider how each happy chemical influences our relationships. Dopamine in relationships. This is the thrill of the new relationship, the excitement of dating, the anticipation of spending time with someone new. It's the reward for building intimacy, planning joint ventures, or achieving shared goals. We get dopamine hits from shared successes, from seeing our loved ones achieve, or even from just looking forward to a date night. The challenge here is when the initial newness wears off. If we don't find new shared goals or ways to create novelty, the dopamine can drop, leading to boredom or a feeling that the relationship has lost its spark. We might then unconsciously seek dopamine elsewhere. Understanding this helps us intentionally create new experiences and challenges within existing relationships to keep the spark alive. Oxytocin in relationships. This is the very foundation of deep, trusting bonds. It's the comfort of a long-term partnership, the unwavering loyalty of a best friend, the unconditional love within a family. Oxytocin is released through physical touch, hugs, hand-holding, shared vulnerability, acts of empathy, and mutual support. It's what makes us feel safe enough to be our authentic selves with others. The challenge is that to get oxytocin, we must be willing to risk. Betrayal or broken trust can cause our brains to inhibit oxytocin release as a protective mechanism, making it harder to trust again. Understanding this means consciously seeking out moments of genuine connection, being present, and demonstrating trustworthiness to build and rebuild these vital bonds. It also means recognizing when others are seeking safety and offering it. Serotonin in relationships. This is where things can get particularly tricky. Serotonin is about status and respect. In relationships, this plays out in dynamics of power, influence, and recognition. We naturally want to feel valued and respected by our partners, our children, our friends, and our colleagues. We want to know our opinions matter, that our contributions are seen. A healthy flow of serotonin comes from mutual respect and clear communication about roles and contributions. This social jungle aspect comes in when people try to gain status at others' expense, or when unhealthy comparison, especially common online, undermines self-worth. If someone feels their serotonin is threatened, they might become defensive, competitive, or withdraw. Recognizing when a partner or colleague is driven by their need for respect can lead to more empathetic interactions. Giving genuine, earned recognition to others can be a powerful way to foster positive serotonin flow for everyone. Endorphin in relationships. While primarily physical, endorphins play a role in shared experiences of exertion or relief. Laughter, shared challenges, or even mutual venting after a stressful day can trigger endorphin release, creating a sense of camaraderie and shared relief. It's the "we got through that together" feeling. The risk is when relationships become solely about shared pain or drama, where people bond over negative experiences, constantly seeking the endorphin rush of collective stress relief. Healthy endorphin in relationships comes from shared joyous physical activities or shared laughter, creating positive associations. Understanding these chemical influences empowers us to be more strategic and compassionate in our interactions. Empathy through chemistry. When someone is behaving in a way that's frustrating, consider what chemical their brain might be seeking. Are they craving validation? Serotonin? Seeking connection? Oxytocin? Or pursuing a new hit? Dopamine? This doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it fosters empathy and helps you respond more effectively. Give what you seek. If you want more trust, oxytocin, be trustworthy. If you want more respect, serotonin, give genuine respect and acknowledge others. If you want more excitement, dopamine, create new positive experiences with others. Manage your own chemical needs. Don't put the sole burden of your happiness on others. Ensure you're stimulating your own happy chemicals in healthy internal ways, so you don't become overly dependent on external validation or other people for your well-being. Communicate consciously. Use your understanding of these chemicals to communicate more effectively. For example, if a partner needs serotonin, offer genuine appreciation. If a child needs oxytocin, offer a hug and reassurance. Navigating the social jungle isn't always easy. It requires self-awareness, empathy, and a willingness to understand the invisible forces at play. But by recognizing how our brains and the brains of those around us are constantly seeking these vital happy chemicals, we can become more adept at building truly fulfilling, resilient, and joyful relationships, transforming potentially chaotic interactions into opportunities for deeper connection and mutual well-being. Chapter 9. The Happiness Blueprint: Creating a Balanced Chemical Flow. All right, my friends, we've journeyed through the intricate landscape of your happy brain, understanding the role of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, and recognizing how neural pathways govern our habits. Now, it's time to bring it all together, to synthesize these powerful insights into a practical, actionable framework for your daily life. The Happiness Blueprint, creating a balanced chemical flow. Loretta Graziano Bruning emphasizes that sustainable happiness isn't about chasing one intense high or relying on external circumstances. It's about consciously designing your life to stimulate all four happy chemicals in healthy, consistent, and balanced ways. Think about it like this. Your brain is always trying to get its chemical needs met. If you're not consciously directing how those chemicals are released, your brain will default to old, familiar pathways, often leading to loops of craving, comparison, or stress relief that are ultimately unfulfilling. The Happiness Blueprint is your strategy to become the architect of your own neurochemistry, ensuring a steady, diverse flow of feel-good chemicals that support your overall well-being. Here's how to create your personal happiness blueprint and foster a balanced chemical flow. Identify your current chemical habits. Awareness is key. Dopamine. What do you currently chase? What goals are you excited about? Where do you get your thrill of the chase? Are these pursuits sustainable and genuinely rewarding, or are you stuck in loops of instant gratification, e.g., compulsive checking, unhealthy cravings? Oxytocin. Where do you feel a sense of trust and connection? Who are your safe people? Do you actively build and nurture these bonds, or do past betrayals make you guarded? Serotonin. Where do you get your sense of respect and status? Is it from genuine contribution and internal validation? Or are you constantly comparing yourself to others or seeking external praise? Endorphin. How do you cope with stress or physical discomfort? Are you engaging in healthy physical activity or laughter, or are you relying on less sustainable outlets? Design your daily chemical triggers, the conscious choice. Based on your awareness, intentionally incorporate daily practices that stimulate each of the happy chemicals in healthy ways. Think of it as a diversified investment portfolio for your brain. Dopamine, the thrill of the chase. Break down goals. Don't just have one big goal. Break it into micro goals. Each time you complete a small step, consciously acknowledge it and feel that surge of accomplishment. This creates a consistent, positive dopamine drip. Learn something new. Novelty and discovery are big dopamine triggers. Dedicate time to learning a new skill, exploring a new topic, or trying a new experience. Small wins. Make your bed. Finish a small work task. Make a healthy meal. Celebrate these daily accomplishments. Oxytocin, trust and connection. Conscious connection. Dedicate time each day to genuinely connect with someone you trust. This could be a heartfelt conversation, a meaningful hug, or simply being present with a loved one. Acts of kindness. Do something kind for someone else without expecting anything in return. Helping others is a powerful oxytocin booster. Build reciprocity. Give and receive support. Be reliable and allow yourself to lean on others. Physical touch. Hug your family. Shake hands firmly with colleagues. Share a friendly pat on the back. Serotonin, status and respect. Mastery and contribution. Focus on doing excellent work, honing your skills, and making a genuine contribution in your professional or personal life. Find pride in your efforts and impact. Self-acknowledgement. Don't wait for external praise. Regularly acknowledge your own strengths, progress, and resilience. Keep a win journal. Healthy boundaries. Respect yourself by setting clear boundaries and not allowing others to diminish your worth. Gratitude for your place. Focus on the value you bring to your family, your team, or your community, rather than comparing yourself to others. Endorphin, natural pain reliever. Consistent physical activity. Engage in daily exercise that you enjoy, even if it's just a brisk walk, dancing, or stretching. It doesn't have to be extreme to be effective. Laughter. Actively seek out opportunities to laugh every day. Watch a funny video. Spend time with humorous friends. Read a funny book. Stress management. Learn to identify and manage stress before it overwhelms you. Endorphins are a response to stress, but chronic reliance on them isn't sustainable. Embrace patience and persistence. Building new neural pathways takes time. Loretta Bruning often debunks the 21-day myth, suggesting it takes much longer, often 45 to 60 days or more, for new habits to feel automatic. Don't get discouraged by setbacks. Every time you consciously choose the new pathway, you strengthen it. Treat lapses as learning opportunities, not failures. Manage the cortisol factor. When you try to break old habits or forge new ones, your brain might release cortisol, the stress hormone, because it's uncomfortable with the change. Recognize this feeling of anxiety, frustration, or craving as a sign that your brain is attempting to revert to old, familiar pathways. Endure it, knowing it will pass as the new, happier pathway becomes more established. Your happiness blueprint is a dynamic tool. Review it regularly, adjust it as your goals and life circumstances change, and celebrate your progress. By consciously cultivating a balanced flow of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin, you're not just chasing fleeting moments of joy. You're building a resilient, adaptable, and genuinely happy brain that consistently supports your well-being, allowing you to live a life filled with purpose, connection, confidence, and vitality. This understanding empowers you to become the true master of your own happiness, from the inside out.